Welcome to Shares from the American College of Financial Services, where money meets minds. Here's a look at what we'll be sharing with you today.
So when you tell a client that you're the quarterback, you just told them I'm the star. You're in the stands. But what client who's a business owner, who's, type A or go-getter, anybody, right? Who wants to sit in the stands? They want to be the star of their life, their show. And so this coordinator part is powerful because you're saying, hey, you're the quarterback, the general manager, and the owner. I'm simply the coordinator in your ear, allowing you to better see the field so you can take action on your life and your business.
Hello, I'm Lindsey Lewis, and I'm the Executive Director and Chair of the American College Center for Women in Financial Services. I'll be your host for this conversation about representation. Today, I'm joined by Padric Scott, the President and CEO of Crossroad Capital Partners, and a member of the college's FinServe network and NextGen Advisory Task Force. Padric, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Linz, thank you so much for having me. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to join you in American College on this event today to just kind of be able to share, dive in, and hopefully inspire some people to go further in their career and planning, etc.
Speaking of diving in, your story about how you got into financial services is so unique and powerful. So I would love for you to share a little bit how you got to becoming the CEO and president of Crossroads.
Journey is truly an understatement. I would say what really got me here, I would be remiss if I did not include, just my educational background. A lot of people think about the sports background, but truly, my undergrad degree is in molecular cell biology. Attended Stanford first. I'm a proud graduate of Florida A&M University, where I also worked on my master's prior to going to the NFL. And in this space, Lindsey, you could imagine with science, and you're always looking at patterns. You're always testing theories and ideas and seeing how they kind of coordinate. And from there, it really just allowed me to kind of fall in love with pattern recognition. From there, leaving, Florida A&M University, I was blessed while working on my master's to sign to the Arizona Cardinals back in 2013, where I played nose tackle. And then while I was there, after I got cut, just as a 23-year-old man, I started seeing money move differently. And if you could put yourself in my seat, even though I didn't have one of those contracts, I'm seeing people making 20, 30, $40 million. I'm seeing owners of teams who are billionaires and, being able to sit down with them at tables and listen to conversations. And you just start realizing, man, I had no idea about any of this stuff. And you just start seeing how some people are moving. And so from there, instead of going the career of like medicine while I chased the NFL dream, I really just got in love, right, and just dove into this world of finances I could find it, which started with banking back in 2013. I went the banking route over the next 5 years, got exposed to business banking, commercial banking, then trust in the States. And then, prior to going to med school and playing one more year in the Canadian Football League back in 2017, going to 18, my broker found me, shot me a message. We sat down, and it was really aligned with everything I had been thinking about in 2016 for myself. I just didn't know how to bridge the gap, so I'm so thankful they reached out. And from there, the rest is history. Launched in private wealth at the top of 2018. 6 years later, a master's, about 20 designations later, been able to build up, the skill set needed to serve families and businesses at a high level. And I'm so thankful to be the steward of Crossroad Capital Partners because I really have some great partners with Ashley, Ansley, Nicole, and my fiance, Valeria, who's our COO. That dynamic team plus about 6 other partnerships that we have in our firm, so a team of 11 total, just really allows us to serve at a high level. And I'm so thankful to sit in this position today.
Such an interesting journey. And I love that you rooted it in education. And you're not joking around how many designations you have. One thing, Padric is so humble, but he is absolutely incredible, super bright. He actually is one of our NextGen Award recipients. But I really want to hone in a little bit on this education component. And if you follow him on social media, he'll talk about how a lot of financial professionals are generalists, and based on this education, he wants to be a specialist, and he is a specialist. So tell us a little bit more about your educational journey within the American College.
I'm so thankful for the American College. As an academic, coming to the space, you ask, how do I grow? And then to be exposed to, such an institution, to now really feed everything that I was looking for, to be that specialist and to provide a high level service. And truthfully, Lens, what I would say is just the ability to be a professional. The thing about our career path in the world of financial services is some people come in here to be more of like a investment or insurance person, but not necessarily a professional. Because the best professionals, like, the best doctor, the best lawyer, they went to med school for 4 years. Then they maybe did 3 years of residency and then another 3 years of fellowship before they even emerged and serve the open market. Whereas in our industry, right, it can start with a license. And now you have someone who's licensed serving open market. That's like someone in their M1 of med school going out now to perform surgery. And so as a result, we have to ask ourselves, is that in the best interest of the people that we're called to serve as a very noble profession? And so in my mind, I was going to disappear for 10 years to become a surgeon. Why not take the first 5 to 6 years to really hone my craft? So now that I can serve people at a high level and not just offer a product, but more so being able to offer a service to people. And what I'll tell you, Lance, with this educational journey in the American College, the confidence, the ability to see through, cross disciplines of tax, legal, financial concepts, business owners, families, they can hear the confidence. And they can hear that like them talking to their doctor before, going into surgery, and that puts them at a peace of mind. Whereas I found in conversations with those same people, they may have felt not as good about the plans they had before because it really wasn't broken down to their liking. And so that is the thing that the American College has allowed myself and countless other professionals is the ability to show up as a professional, to bring confidence into people's households and their businesses and allow them to live their best life. So I'm so thankful for that educational journey.
Such a great recognition of being a professional and honing your craft. I do have to ask this question. Are there any parallels from playing in the NFL to planning for clients?
Oh man, Liz, I would say the footbal background and existing at the 1% of football for sure was an advantage in this space. I can really just share it in an analogy like this. People often say football players don't get planning. That's because they talk stocks and bonds. To really bridge a gap, you have to translate a language. And so what I would ask of an NFL player or coach when we're talking, they'll ask me when we sit down, hey, what portfolio do you got for me? What product do you have for me? And that's because they've been conditioned by a lot of people in the marketplace that is how, right, our service works. And so to frame their mind, what I'll ask them is, hey, let me ask you this question, coach. Let me ask you this question, Lens. Let's say the two of us took over for the Kansas City Chiefs with, Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Would it be wise to walk in the room with the philosophy already of just running the football all the time? And then the coach would say, absolutely not, because we have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And then I'll say, bingo. I say, so you want me to come into your house or your business with a philosophy, and I don't know my star player yet. And they go, got it. And so football is just consulting played out in front of millions. You have a off season where you're understanding who your team is. You then have a draft to bring on, new services, etc. From there, you have an additional off season where you're getting to see what's the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Then you have what's called training camp. In training camp, you simulate everything that's about to happen in real time. And then from there, by that simulation, you can determine what are the pros and cons of the game plan that you have. And then from there, you're able to put the game plan into the season, and you just make audibles and adjustments, right, as you go along. And so seeing that kind of a layout of how to approach a season is exactly how at Crossroad we approach someone's financial situation. We never start on the front end of it. We start on, hey, what's the ultimate goal, which is our client's personal Super Bowl. From there, we have to reverse engineer all those steps and take them through that same consultative experience so they can go be the heroes in their story. So football truthfully allowed me to see the field of finance as it would a field of players, recognize how pieces move together, and now coordinate them into a single action.
I think that is absolutely incredible and such a unique parallel. When talking about this coordinated planning, in the past in financial planning, we've talked a lot about integrated planning. So, integrating tax, estates, insurance, you name it, investments. But I love your lens on coordinated planning. So, can you help our listeners learn a little bit more about what it means to be a coordinated planner?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that to the light. A common term we used to use is comprehensive. Then emerged the term, because I think comprehensive in the minds of our clients and members over the years of financial services seem complex and confusing, and things that are complex and confusing and seem like a lot people back away from. So went from comprehensive to this integrated planning. That said, when you say integrated planning to the mind of a client, Liz, one thing I would encourage our listeners to think about as we embrace the open market is don't think about how does something sound to you. Think about how does it sound to the person that you're serving, because they're the one that has to digest the information, process it, and now make decisions with it. Whereas on our end, we think it sounds so amazing to say these words and jargon. So integrated, yes, it does involve this kind of, level of pulling pieces together in our mind, but in the mind of a client, they're like, hey, what are we integrating? Okay, I'm integrating tax. Okay, what does that mean? I'm integrating investments. What does that mean? And so this concept actually of coordinated planning was born of working in this athletic market. And then I started realizing, every major industry has some type of a coordinator. So in football, you have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator. Wedding planning that I'm doing right now, you have a wedding coordinator, right? You have an event coordinator. And it's understood that the coordinator is there not to tell the party what to, how to live out their event, but they're really there to make their life easy, hear what they want, and I'll make sure all the pieces are in place. And so where this concept really hit home with me is in our industry, we have this bad sports jargon. And a lot of advisors say they're the quarterback of a financial plan. I would argue with that person, they likely did not play high-level sports, because the quarterback is the star of the show. They're typically the highest paid person. So when you tell a client that you're the quarterback, you just told them, I'm the star. You're in the stands. But what client who's a business owner, who's, type A or go-getter, or anybody, right? Who wants to sit in the stands? They want to be the star of their life, their show. And so this coordinator part is powerful, because you're saying, hey, you're the quarterback, the general manager and the owner. I'm simply the coordinator in your ear, allowing you to better see the field so you can take action on your life and your business. So now insert this conversation of coordinated planning. So coordinated planning just sends a more congruent message to the people that we serve. It lets them know we're not walking in here to sell and tell you on what to do and integrate these new things into your world. Rather, what we want to do is look at your world, see how your world is currently situated and positioned. From there, hey, let's look at it, let's stress test it, and see, hey, is everything up to par? Or do we have some deltas? Have you far surpassed some goals and you can reallocate resources somewhere else? Now they go, got it. Then I can insert terms like using a salary cap. Every financial household has a salary cap like a sports team. We have to make sure we sign on the right players with that salary cap. And so once we get over the player of expenses, because that takes up a lot of the salary cap sometimes, the lower we can keep the salary cap on expenses, we can now allocate more of the salary to other areas of your world and make sure they're coordinated on the field. So this concept of coordinated planning isn't really different than integrated planning. However, it is a more congruent message to the ears and minds of the clients that we serve, because the clearer they are, the more clarity they have, the faster action takes place. If no action takes place, then what good is it for us to know all the things we know? Because now we're just knowledgeable, but no one's, moving closer to their goals. And that is why we have a career in the first place, is to get people to their goals.
Almost a century ago, Solomon Huebner founded the American College of Financial Services based on a fundamental truth: knowledgeable professionals best serve the public's financial security. We've been here when markets crashed, world tensions rose, and when bubbles inevitably burst. But through it all, we've never lost sight of our mission to uplift the financial services profession and benefit society through applied financial knowledge. Over 200,000 financial professionals have chosen the college as their lifelong learning partner. Our expansive community continues to grow in success, powered by leading designation and certification programs, just-in-time learning opportunities, unique and inspiring events and impact initiatives that support efforts to attract newcomers to the profession and democratize financial education for all. We hope you'll expand your opportunities with us at theamericancollege.edu.
Such a great perspective and a different lens, right? I've heard the quarterback analogy since the inception of me being in the career, and I'm sure it's gone far before that. I really love the perspective of, seeing their world through their eyes and that empathy and that emotional intelligence, all of that. One thing I would love to dive into with a little bit more technicality is around this idea we chatted about around a lot of financial professionals help clients build investment strategies for income distribution, but you're helping your clients monetize wealth while building wealth. So explain that to our listeners, what that means.
Again, in my mind, Linz, the only thing I ever want to do is sit on the same side of the table as our members. So until there's clear communication, because of how we typically plan for people view us as professionals who take money away from them, right? So everyone's taught, saving your save in savings, emergency fund, 401k. Then we talk IRAs. So typically what we're doing, we're putting money in places that they cannot touch until 59 and a half. So now what happens is people actually dread sitting down with us, because typically sitting down with us means more dollars set aside that they know they need to do. However, they cannot touch until they're 60, right? And so I work with a lot of professionals, between the ages of 35, 48, who are in tech or in finance, or business owners who can make north of $1 million. They're not trying to say goodbye until 60. They're trying to reinvest into their own world. And so this is where we have to get out of our own way and stop doing it like our way, and now be the coordinator and do it the client's way. So with that in mind, if you think about setting aside a dollar, it should be utilized for the benefit of the person that we serve. I think one of the major concepts I once took away from the Wealth Management Certified Professional, spearheaded by Dr. Michael Finka, that I'm a spokesperson for, and while I love that designation so much, it opened my eyes to this concept of goals-based planning. And goals-based planning, Linz, is really centered around this concept that any investment solution should be catered to solving some goal, objective, or problem. And that said, people have problems that occur before they're 60. They haven't happened this year, next year, and the year after. So part of my focus with our members is to shift their mindset from simply investing for retirement to now investing to meet their goals. So this kind of brings in this concept that I love to share with our members, is time segmentation. And that's understanding we call an investment vehicle for a reason. So the same way, an automotive vehicle drives you from point A to point B. An investment vehicle is intended to drive money and time from point A to point B. The same way a debt instrument, brings money from the future to use today. So since we're trying to drive money through time, the way a portfolio should be constructed in the best interest of a member is with their absolute goals in mind. And so now if we understand the horizons of what they need, that would now bring on a diversification of accounts that we would utilize. And now we should start thinking through, how can we monetize this to meet the 2-year goal, the 4-year goal, the 8-year goal, the 20-year goal, not just right until retirement. And so this is an area where as a kind of like a 3-pronged practice, Crossroads sits as, we have the investment arm, we have the insurance arm. However, we also have the fee-based planning arm. And that's powerful to be in that seat, because let's just say we're in the assets under management only arm. The reason we're able to sit down with members in this space, and this is not to knock that side of it, we just are able to share with the people we serve, there's a conflict of interest there. Because if your only compensation is assets under management, well, guess what? Surely it's a fiduciary model. However, I'm able to share with retirees and business owners, etc., that the more assets you spend, the less assets are managed. So oftentimes, a lot of the recommendations are, hey, that real estate property or this or that would be a bad purchase, when really what it is doing is just bringing down the assets under management. And so now being able to sit on the same side of the table with them and meet their goals, right? I'm working with a business owner this year. We're setting aside dollars through various insurance designs that he's now acquiring 3 businesses with the line of credit we established through a private lender that lends to various mutual companies. So now year 1, he has a $750,000 line of credit. It was a 3-part acquisition he was really looking to do on 3 businesses that, really needed to be bailed out. So it was a great time for him to scale up. But if every dollar was in an IRA or some vehicle that was tied up until later, he would not have been in a comfortable position to make that acquisition, even though he had the cash flow. So shifting our thinking from just simply providing a cookie cutter solution to now understanding the time horizons of the people we serve, and now building a time-based portfolio to go get it with various accounts and assets, man, people view us now as their partner versus just simply being their advisor. And that is the thing I love with people we serve is I tell them I hate financial advisors. I said because an advisor is someone who wants to sell and tell you on what to do. Our goal is just to simply become a partner to allow you to think through what you want to do. And that mindset shift allows us to do great planning to a very tactical degree with people, because now it's not confusing and now it's not my plan, it's their plan.
I love that you're pushing against some of the traditional financial planning models and this importance of sitting on the same side of the table as your clients and speaking their language. And it sounds like you're very well versed in this, but how were you able to develop the skill set to speak the language of your clients and effectively communicate these sometimes very complex strategies to the client for their understanding? So walk us through how you do that.
Oh man, this is easy. Continued development. Don't practice till you get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong. Number 3, the American college. My master's that I recently received last year was such a huge part in this. I'm so thankful to a gentleman who actually wrote my letter for my estate accredited estate planner designation, Timothy Belber. Tim Belber is a genius. And going through his Legacy Reimagined and Advanced Estate Planning course, I got to hear how he talks to people. And there's no wonder why he's one of the greats in the estate planning world, because instead of jargon and making things complex, he makes it so simple. And he asks you questions that make you realize, like, man, why have we been doing this so wrong? And so this concept of sitting on the same side of the table and becoming a thinking partner was actually a course we had in Legacy Reimagined, like how to create more fulfilling legacies versus just, allowing people to die and leave a large financial one. And one of the books Timothy Belber introduced to us, that was a chapter in Legacy Reimagined, was this concept of becoming a thinking partner and a soundboard. And he introduced this concept with a book from Nancy Klein. And the name of the book is Time to Think, Listening to Ignite the Human Mind. And one of the most powerful quotes I read in this book, Nancy Klein said, the first step to becoming a great listener is to actually first listen to the voices in your own head. Because if you can't hear those, how can you expect to hear what other people are actually saying? Because they have the same thing going on in their world. That was such a mindset shift for me. And getting clear and listening to my own thoughts even deeper and shifting through those, Lens, would allow me to do is be more present for people. And in being more present, I could really hear what they were saying. They weren't saying, I just want to save more for retirement. A lot of them were already well suited. They wanted to live more. They weren't saying, hey, I just wanted to, avoid the most taxes. What they were saying was, I want to leave the largest legacy. And what he got me to realize in this course was how to hear what's really being said. And in hearing what's really being said, I then went back and remodeled our firm. We used to be the traditional kind of integrated insurance and investment firm, but then we really evolved a consultative arm that allowed us just to sit think, and assess and plan with people. And in doing that, we built deeper relationships. We heard what they wanted. And then, hey, if they wanted to do anything on the product based side with us, we could offer those services, but they were well aware of that. And they were so appreciative of the time we were able to take, how we were able to really eloquently state what their goals are. And then now the tactical strategies, we didn't lead with, tool first, strategy second, goals third. It was goals and vision first. Use that to filter out all the unnecessary strategies to find the ones that do work. And then now, once we were able to process of eliminate the strategies that didn't work, we can now use the tools that would bring their world to life, and they felt confident because they could tie it back to what they were trying to accomplish. And so, man, the time spent in that master's, I spend it over and over and over and over and over again. It's not about letters behind a name. So a lot of people think about that. It is about the conceptualization that allows you to quiet your own head and be present, versus the voices in your head saying, do you know this? Can you solve this? Can you win this? That's not what it's about. It's how can I assist this person in getting from point A to point B? So truthfully, the American College, that Master's of Financial Planning, played a huge role in where I stand today in our team.
I love this so much. Keep learning, engaging. I love this concept of building a more fulfilling legacy. And I know this episode is for our representation pillar. And I do want to end with, thinking about the future of the industry and bringing in more partners who have different lived experiences. So I know that you serve on our FinServe network and part of our NextGen advisory task force, where we're attracting talent, bringing them alongside the college to learn from the best and cultivating cultures of inclusivity. So walk us through how the industry at large can help build a more fulfilling legacy for different folks.
One word: translate, translate, translate. So for example, my relationship with my beautiful fiance and soon-to-be wife has really allowed our firm to grow. And it's because we come from two different cultures. Where I am, Black American, she was born in Colombia. So majority of her family are Colombian and Spanish speaking. So while very loving, what happens is at times we don't speak the same language, so we just laugh and hug. But thankfully, as people, we can embrace. What we don't realize is if languages aren't translated, though, people can feel uncomfortable. So what ends up happening is we have an industry that has spoken one language for so long, it has neglected to understand that what we offer has to be translated to people for them to understand what's really being said and what opportunities lay in front of them. If someone would have brought me into this industry with a traditional kind of recruiting pitch, I wouldn't be here. I'm thankful that, the managing director at the time in the local area, Tallahassee, that brought me over to my affiliated broker, he, hung out in a lot of diverse backgrounds. So he was able to really translate what this was going to look like for me. And because he took a different approach in showing me what was possible, the moment he showed me what he showed me, I said, sign me up right now. Had anyone else talked to me, I'd have blew them off and said, this career is not for me. There's no representation. This, is not where I would need it to be. Why do I want to come make a change when this industry doesn't even seek to speak my language? We can start learning to translate to different backgrounds what this industry means to them versus speaking it to how we perceive it. Now people will feel so much more empowered to embrace. They will feel much more empowered to give it all on the line, right? Maybe give up, a salary and come into an entrepreneur position, or maybe realize they can go into a more analyst role or a more, still W-2 role in the world of finance and make that impact. They can see that, the wealth gaps and things that they want to impact, how much better to impact them than by shifting the industry that, could close the gap in the first place. So it's really just translating what's possible.
Wow, you have shared so much with us around your knowledge, experience. My biggest highlights, look for patterns, the way money's moving, time segmentation, sitting on the same side as your clients, speaking their language, and translate, translate, translate. Padric, this has been such a fulfilling conversation. For folks who are listening to this, where can they find you so they can connect with you after this episode?
Absolutely. LinkedIn, the typical kind of LinkedIn layout / Padric Scott, and that is PADRIC. So Peter Alpha Delta, Richard Iota Charlie, Scott SCOTT, and a great place would be Instagram, and that's Padric first name _ Beast. That's from the NFL, and I'm not giving that up no matter what. So Padric _ Beast. Those are two areas you can find me. Would love to connect, have conversations, and talk around our wonderful industry.
Padric, you are exceptional, and thank you for all the work that you're doing within financial services and especially for your clients. Thank you so much for your time. We've really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's all for now, but you can find all our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most other streaming services. Be sure to like us, follow us, and leave us a rating and review. Shares is a production of the American College of Financial Services, and we hope you join us next time as we share ideas that expand your opportunities.